Hi, welcome back to another episode of Tea and Contemplations with me, Mr. Rebirth. So, I have my white tea here, first sip, and of course, I'll be recording until I finish the tea. So, first of all, how are you today? That's my first question. How are you today? Because it's a very interesting time looking outside where I would love to be outside, hanging out in my great tree. It's a really interesting time. We all just got to push through, and that's life. So I actually had ideas for this time. Last time I didn't know what to talk about. I just tried it out, but this time I actually have a really, really good idea, and I'm going to go through three things: me, you, us. So I'm going to start out with something just about me. So you get to learn more about me every time you listen to these, and that's fun. And then I'll tell you something that can help you. And then, well, actually, technically, it can help us both, but it's meant for you. Questions for you and stuff for you. And then up next, then we'll have stuff for us both, which will help us both become better people, to be reborn even better. So let's start out with me. Who am I? Well, that's a question for another day. What I really wanted to talk about was my hobbies. I have pretty normal hobbies. Most of them I'd say are pretty normal. But one of them is something that not a lot of people actually can do. A lot of people can do it, but it's kind of a hidden talent, which is voice impressions. I have been doing voice impressions for quite some time. It's something I've always loved to do. I think one of the first very good ones I did was Popeye the Sailor. I was very proud of that one. And then I moved on to Kermit the Frog. And it's just something I really enjoy doing. It's a lot of fun. So I wanted to give you a demonstration of a few of my favorite voices. Now, warn you, because of the way that your voice works when you speak, you can't hear the way it actually sounds when you speak. So, mind you, these might not be as good, but I've heard from other people they're pretty good. So, here you go. So, up first, we'll go with Kermit the Frog. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here. It's the Muppet Show with a special guest star, Mr. Rebirth. Ah! There's Kermit. Some of my voices also get louder, so mind your ears. We're gonna do Shrek, so I'll back up. That's not one of my good ones. I won't do Shrek yet. I'll save Shrek for later because everybody loves Shrek. He's a great character with great skill growth. I'll do Marvin Martian from Looney Tunes. I'm a Martian and I'm headed for your planet. Oh, it's time for the game. He has a nice voice. I like some of these voices. You tense up your throat and you manipulate your throat in the way that you move your mouth. So for somebody bigger, it feels like you widen your throat, and that's how I like to do like bigger people. Like if I wanted to do there's from Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's a character named the Boulder, and the Boulder, one of his lines is, "The Boulder feels conflicted about his emotions," and for that I open up my voice. And to open up your voice, to me in my head, I sound like a very bad James Earl Jones, but I can also do Mufasa. So. Simba, everything the light touches is our kingdom. Oh, what's that shadowy place over there? Please mind my Simba. That's the elephant graveyard, Simba. You must never go there. I can do Darth Vader. I have actually an audio clip of me doing Darth Vader with voice modulation, but without the modulation, it sounds like this. Luke, I am your father. You are a part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. And then, I find your like a faith disturbing. Those are some of my favorite quotes. And then I'm gonna cut it off here. Sorry, I have to use Shrek. One of my favorites is Mushu from Mulan, my favorite Disney movie. You lied to me? And what are you, a sheep? That's one of his great quotes. And then the other one is, I don't know if this is if the lines are perfect. I'm sure they're not, but it's all about the impression. It's not about the words. So this one will be, oh, that does it. Dishonor on you! Dishonor on your family! Dishonor on your cow! So that's my Mushu. I love doing voices. It's something I've been doing. It's something I'm actually interested in for a career. It's just something very nice and calming. Sometimes it can be angry, but then there's characters like Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender, who I'm not sure how good my impression is, but here's one from him. Sick of tea. That's like being sick of breathing. Or what is it? I can't think of anything else. But Uncle Iroh's a great character. He's probably the reason why I love tea so much. So that's some stuff about me, my hobby, voice impressions, something I just love doing, something I'm pretty good at. I like to believe I'm pretty good at it. People tell me that, so I sound much less conceited. But now we'll move on to you. So my thing for you is kind of like a lesson on how to, just the tips on how to be happy, and I'll go through all of these and I'll just tell you about them. So number one is the first one for this episode, or the one for this episode is forgive yourself. Now, forgiving yourself is hard or difficult. It depends on what you have done, what you may have done in your life, and it can be a hard thing to do, but it can also be a very easy thing to do. But it's always a very good thing to do. Most of the time, unless you did something very, very bad, then no, you should still forgive yourself. It's a weird exception. But the reasons of why you do it, this is really just to be happier. These are tips on how to be happier, and forgiving yourself is one of the biggest things, because if you're sitting there and you've done something not even that bad, like say you're a child who ate a cookie that you weren't supposed to, and your mom says who did it, and you get away with it, but you feel guilty. You feel guilty that entire time. You feel guilty for until you forget about it. But even forgetting about it might just be repressing, and repression is rarely good, because then you can't express your feelings properly. You get used to repressing your feelings. So here are my personal tips on how to forgive yourself. So first of all, think of what you did. It's kind of like a meditation. So breathe, think about what you did. Think about how it affected you, how it affected others, and then think about why it wasn't acceptable to do, or what you could have done better. Not that it wasn't acceptable, what you could have done better. Because everything isn't your fault, but if you think it's your fault, then it'll be your fault. You have to think about the hard facts, because it's all about reality. Everything you see is real, or at least you think it is. But if you're basing your opinions about a person based on how they look, then that might not be real. You could meet the nicest person who has tattoos all over his body, who wears leather jackets with spikes, and he's a part of a biker gang, but you meet him and he likes to hang out with his kittens and knit sweaters for homeless dogs. I don't know. But that's one of the things about forgiving yourself. It's easy, it's hard, it's a process, but it's good for your brain. It's good for your mind. It's good for everything. Now, barely halfway through. Let's get halfway through. Now, I would like to move on to us both. So, for you, I'm basically going to pose a question to you, and I'm going to answer it for myself until give you tips on how you can answer it yourself. So the question today is, what makes you happy? What makes you happy is a very good question, because knowing what makes you happy can mean a lot of things to you. It can mean what you do in your life, what you like to do. You can figure out what you like to do, or what you don't like to do. You can figure out what you want in life. You won't go around being confused. You'll be happy and content with what you want, but you have to figure out what makes you genuinely happy. Now, for me, I it took a while. I thought about this. I actually thought about it with my friend, and what he said was some of the jokes that we make. He said pizza because pizza is my favorite food. But I thought about it and I said, that makes me happy, but that's a temporary happiness. I'd eat pizza, the taste of it, sure, it stays in your stomach, you can still taste it later, but the next day it's gone and you'll want more, but you won't have the same taste. It's temporary, it makes you happy, and then once you're done eating, it's gone. It's not like the second time you taste it, it tastes better. it's it's gone. The happiness leaves afterwards. So I thought to myself, that's not what makes me happy. And then I thought about what I like to do. Sorry about the little cut just now. I received a package. Um, I thought about what I was thinking about what makes me really happy, and when I thought of that, I thought of how much I enjoy it when my friends are able to come talk to me when they have an issue. And then I thought about how much I like to make jokes. And so what really makes me happy is making others happy. And I do that through humor mostly, but I also love giving my ear to listen to whatever kind of problem anybody has. It doesn't matter. Even if I can't give you a suggestion, I just like being able to give you somebody to talk to. So that's one of my personal values. I love doing that. It's very, very helpful. It's helpful. It's good for helping others. And so the ways that you really want to think about what makes you happy is thinking about what you want. What do you want from, what do you value? Do you value material things, which is not a good thing? Being materialistic is never a good thing because then you rely too much on things and not what you should be thinking about. But are your values about things? Are your values about family? There's many things that you can value, and I cannot list them all. There's too many. But that's the main thing you want to think about um, when you think about these things. When you want to figure out what makes you genuinely happy. So when you think of what you want, when you think of what makes you happy, you really need to dive deep into your mind, which I know sometimes it can be scary, but it's a very nice thing to do. So let's take our finishing sip. It's much more of a gulp, but I don't have anything else for today. So next time, if you haven't already, make a cup of tea with me. Make one and drink one as we go along. But that's it. Thank you for coming on this journey with me so far. No, not a lot of. I know not a lot of. No, I know not a lot has happened yet, but hopefully it will expand and get greater, and you will become greater. This is for you, and it's also for me. New personal experience for me, and I really, like I said, I want to help you just become a better person. So, thank you for listening to me rant for about 14 minutes, and I hope you have a great day. Ami tofu.